Hey everybody, it's Rob for the Harness Racing Channel. I'm here today at Vernon Downs and I'm talking to some trainers about some 2-year-olds and what they really look for. How soon can you actually start to see some ability in a 2-year-old? What do you look for? And how difficult is it and challenging to train a 2-year-old in the winter versus bringing back 3-year-olds and aged horses? Let's talk to some of them.
You got to look at the breeding to start with, and the size more than anything. I do. Takes a little doing to figure out whether you got it or not. And even when you think you do, sometimes they get to 2 minutes and that's it. A little bit of grit that they want to keep up to another horse. They maybe want to race another horse a little bit. And their gait. If they're good gaited, it makes big difference.
So typically this time of year we got a lot of ice and stuff, so it's kind of a little challenging to get the 2-year-olds down quickly, which usually we don't bring our 2-year-olds down very quickly. They're a little bit different. You have to just take your time. There's no rushing because you can really hurt a yearling. You can break them down really easy. Even if they do show the ability, you still want to get a foundation. That's what it's all about, is a really good foundation in the 2-year-old.
You can't tell with the 2-year-olds until later on when you get going with them more. It's quite a ways off yet, a couple, 3 months. And then you'll find out, how much you'll get an idea of what they can do. Right now, they're not gated or nothing, so they're not sure of speed.
A lot of times, 2-year-old, how they act in general in the barn, and their common sense is a lot, so they don't get themselves hurt. But you can tell on a racetrack when a horse has some ability. Basically, as a trainer, in all honesty, the job is not to mess one up. They're bred to go fast. You go to the sale, you pick out the breeding you like, you look at their conformation. If you're correct on that and the horse has good conformation, now the game is you go out on the racetrack. If they show you athleticism, you can't teach athleticism. So if they're athletic, they'll let you know. And then you got something from there. I've got a couple in the barn right now, very athletic. Where the bottom is, I don't know. Well, in the winter here at Vernon, for example, you never know if you're going to snow. It's January, it's 50 degrees, I'm in mud, you never know from day to day. But the one thing we do for many years, Howard Acusco Sr. was very successful, trained here his whole life. You go out and you take the conditions into consideration. I go a mile in 3 minutes, guy in Florida went 240. Guess what? It's the same mile. It's the same mile. 65 and sunny over there. I'm in 20 degrees, 15-mile-an-hour winds, and it's snowing. It's all conditioning. As far as I'm concerned, you get the miles on them. When spring comes, we catch up. The guys come from Florida, their horses get sick, they lose 3 weeks. We've already been sick, we actually catch up. As long as you get them out, and you try to make the speed you can, but you take the weather into consideration.
I guess it would be around the first part of February. You should have a good idea what you should stake them to. Try to get a nice brushing quarter in them, see what kind of speed they have. I definitely like all my horses gated before the snow hits or ice, because it makes it very difficult to get them gated before or after. When winter hits, you better be smoothly gated. You can tell a lot from their body motion that they want to do it. If you're out there galloping and throwing yourself and not wanting to go, and it's February, March, we might have to have a little discussion about maybe waiting on a baby. I have been fortunate that all of my babies, knock on wood, have made it to do something. Have I had world champions? No, but for us and what we do, I think we do very well.
Most of the time, it's a feel for me. I break a lot of babies every year, and down to a certain speed. When they get into the teens, you kind of know what you got, but I like the beginning of the year, I like to let them go what they want to go, within reason, in the 250s, the high 240s, and I kind of got an idea of which one I really like. Now, there's always been a sleeper that never was with the A set, and all of a sudden when they got down into the teens, they proceeded to go forward, where the ones that were in the A set kind of just stayed in the teens. So it's not an exact science. It's you know, every horse is different. 2-year-olds, you have to have the proper help. That's number one. The 2-year-olds turning 3 that are coming back, I mean, unless you don't have a barn full of them, it's a little bit easier. So help is the main thing here. And, you know, thank God that we have enough help here, enough help at the college to train babies. But our thing, I think being in the Northeast makes the horses tougher rather than down south. When they're down south and they have to come north, 70% of them get sick. Our horses are pretty rugged, but it's the track conditions that, you know, limits your training.
Probably April. As soon as you start putting speed to them. And that's, you know, as soon as you start going quicker quarters, usually if you go a mile in 2:30 and you look down at your watch and you went 2:20, usually a horse will tell you, you know, you usually could judge a mile, but if they go way faster than you thought you were going, usually a special horse. Ice is tough. You know, just the weather, but the ice is the main thing. Cold isn't bad, it's the ice.
You can't make speed on these kind of tracks. So you're keeping a horse well within himself, which is a big asset when you get down to, you know, April, May, and June. You've kept a horse, you've got a big foundation, but you haven't had the opportunity to go beyond where you should have. I'm looking for a horse that has the attitude that I like. I'm looking for a horse that's been bred as good as that you can afford. And I'm looking for a horse that has a tremendous good attitude, a good work ethic.
Well, I saw something day one, the day I bought her, just the attitude. She was at the sale for 5 days. All the babies were grumpy and miserable and they didn't want to come out. They didn't want to go back to their stalls. They didn't want to be touched. And she was just as happy as a clam, ready to go do anything. I don't think we should be pushing them till later. You usually don't see that till down the road. But you can, when you sit behind a good one, they feel a lot better than a bad one. Well, 2-year-olds need a little more training. They need to be on a little more rigid schedule. And the weather up here is our problem in the track. You'll get ice, snow. Right now we're in the mud. Just dealing with the weather. Up here it forces you not to go too much with your babies. Down south and at Spring Garden Ranch, you can go anything you want to go and it's easy to go too much. Where up here, you're kind of forced to wait on them, which is good. They need to grow, develop, mature. So, and that's kind of what you want to do, not throw too much at them.
2-year-old, whether they start with they don't know anything, and you have to teach them everything, and the weather's bad, and the tracks are crappy, and the 3-year-olds, they're educated. They go on and they do a lot of it by themselves. Some of them want to click right away, and some just take forever. Half the time the ones that take forever end up being the good ones.